Don't get mad. Get media. MadPod. Rare celebrity interviews. Indie music. MadPod.com. Your global audio internet connection. Coming up on MadPod.com.
Hey everybody, how you doing? JADonnelly with you, MadPod.com. And on a very special Halloween show, we have Alice Cooper. That's right, Alice Cooper on MadPod.
I would hate to be in a young band right now, only because you can't go to the store and buy a CD. I mean, everything is done online. When I was a kid, I would stand in line to buy the new Who album. And when I bought that album, what I was doing was I was buying a piece of the band. I had some ownership. I had the album. There was the pictures inside. I'd sit down there and listen to it by myself and go, oh, man. And I was a fan because I owned a piece of that band, to me. Now, there's no loyalty like that.
Born in Detroit, Michigan, and rejoining us live coast to coast from Louisville, Kentucky, the king of theater rock, actor and music legend, Alice Cooper. Welcome back, Alice. A pleasure having you back on the program.
Hey, Shadoe.
Alice, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good, sir. Hey, thanks for calling.
Dean Martin, Scranton, Pennsylvania?
Actually, he was from Steubenville, Ohio.
Oh, you're right. Okay,
so
you're right.
Close.
Steubenville, he was born there.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Welcome back. A pleasure having you with us again.
Thank you very much.
To refresh your memory, the last time you were with me was Halloween night, 1998. It has been too long, Alice.
Halloween is sort of our holiday, isn't it?
It certainly is, with my name and your act.
That's right.
You have been thrilling and chilling fans since your first band, the Earwigs, lip-synced your way through a Beatles song to win a high school talent contest. And it was just a few years later that you renamed the group the Spiders, moved to Los Angeles, and searched for a high-profile image. How did the concept for dressing up in tattered women's clothing and smeared makeup come about?
I thought it would terrify every parent in America, and it did. We came out at a time when rock and roll was sort of at the end of the hippie phase and the whole thing like that. And to me, I looked around and I said, you got a lot of rock and roll heroes. Where are the villains? I said, we don't have any specific villains. I'm going to make Alice Cooper into that, sort of the consummate rock villain. And it's great for my theatrics. I mean, it was a perfect vehicle for me to do theatrics and for me to do rock and roll. I mean, I've always been a big Who fan and Yardbirds fan. And, I said, take that kind of music, make it theatrical, and give them a character that can make that work. And so Alice was born, and for 40-some years now, Alice has sort of been the consummate rock villain.
Take us back, Alice. You formed the band Alice Cooper in 1965 Phoenix. Then in 1974, you went solo and took the name as your personal moniker.
Right. The original band, from high school, we were in high school together, went to college together, we did 7 albums together, and, from all the way to Schools Out and Billion Dollar Babies and 2 number ones in a row. And then at some point, we just worked ourselves to death pretty much, and basically broke up just over differences not in music, but in how to perform that music. I wanted to do bigger productions, and they didn't. So we're all friends. That's the great thing about it, is the original band, are still very good friends. But I just continued on as Alice Cooper with the idea that rock should be even bigger, even more spectacular. It's the most exciting music in the world, so why not make it visually that also?
On February 20th, 1971, your debut Billboard Top 40 single 18 from the Warner Brothers LP Love It to Death peaked at number 21, followed by Caught in a Dream from June 12th, which hit number 94 pop. Alice, you have 3 children, Calico, Sonora Rose, and Dash. It must be tough for your kids to grow up with a dad who is unshockable, because that's your shtick.
absolutely. You talk about kids that can't rebel. I mean, what are they going to do? Come on with blue lipstick on and, jet black hair and goth? And I'd go, guys, I created that. But they know that. That's the funny thing. I think that since my kids were all basically born backstage, they know how the guillotine works. They know how they've seen everything. And the fact that I am sober and been married for 33 years, they're very secure. So all three of my kids are performers. My two daughters are both the ballerinas and dancers, but at the same time, my oldest daughter's a comedian. She does, improv. My son's got his own band. So my kids are very, very stable. As crazy as it sounds, they've never been busted for anything.
Don't get mad. Get media. MadPod. Rare celebrity interviews, indie music,
I couldn't ask you
MadPod.com.
the last time you were with us, but how did your radio show Nights with Alice Cooper get off the ground?
Well, it was sort of the only way I would take that show. They came to me. It was Dick Clark's organization, and they said, if you had a radio show, what would it be? And I said, first of all, I would take all of the songs from the 60s and 70s, the 80% that don't get played on the radio, and I would concentrate on that. I would kind of take it back to free-form FM radio of the 60s. With me telling the stories, every single band that I play, I have a story about because I know them all. I can tell a Beatles story. I can tell a Paul Butterfield story. I can tell a Frank Zappa story. I can tell a story about Van Morrison when he was in Them. But that music was so great, and so much of it got ignored that I said, I want to play that music. So I'm on 250 stations now for 5 years and 5 hours a night. And I never run out of material because there's so much great music out there.
Alice, the internet spawning a new generation of followers. Has it helped or hurt?
Well, I think it's actually grown an audience for me. I would hate to be in a young band right now, only because you can't go to the store and buy a CD. I mean, everything is done online. When I was a kid, I would stand in line to buy the new Who album. And when I bought that album, what I was doing was I was buying a piece of the band. I had some ownership. I had the album. There was the pictures inside. I'd sit down there and listen to it by myself and go, oh, man. And I was a fan because I owned a piece of that band, to me. Now, there's no loyalty like that. So the lucky thing is bands from the 60s like Elton and myself and Ozzy and Rod Stewart, we have audiences that are three different generations that are loyal to us. And to me, that's very important. I wouldn't want to be coming up in this generation where I put a CD out and I don't even know where to buy one. So I'm kind of old school when it comes to that. I put out a CD. I want people to go buy the CD. If they steal it, they steal it. I don't care. But I think that if you want to own a piece of Alice, you buy the CD.
On June 3rd, 1972, your signature song, School's Out, from the album of the same name, peaked at number 7. Alice, the legacy continues on as you can't find a cable TV channel where you can't hear the song as part of the latest Arby's commercial campaign.
Isn't that funny? I forgot all about that. It's been in 20 or 30 movies. It's been in so many TV shows, from The Simpsons to Family Guy to everything you can think of. Those songs just will not die. Guitar Hero. Every 9-year-old kid knows that song because of Guitar Hero. So the classic music that came out of the 60s and 70s, Smoke on the Water, My Generation, all those great songs will not die because kids listen to that on their video games, and they're going, I love this song. Without those games, I don't know they would have heard those songs.
Don't get mad. Get media. MadPod. Rare celebrity interviews, indie music, MadPod.com.
Live coast to coast from Louisville, Kentucky, with actor and hard rock legend Alice Cooper. Alice, the smash album $1 Billion Babies, yielded 4 consecutive singles, beginning with Elected, released October 7th, 1972, a number 26 pop hit. Hello Hooray from February 3rd, 1973, reaching number 35. No More Mr. Nice Guy on AM radio April 14th, 1973, topping out at number 25. And Billion Dollar Babies, the title track, issued August 4th, featuring guest vocalist Donovan and clocking it at number 57. Alice, you invented shock rock, and your stage show is legendary for its immense success. What's the most over-the-top thing you've done on stage?
Well, I mean, I think that most of the stuff that you get the publicity for are the accidents. You know, I mean, you can produce, the hanging and the guillotine and the straitjacket and all the stuff that Alice does. And those are all rehearsed, and they're professional, and they're all done perfectly, and the audience just goes, wow. Now, the things that get the publicity is like when somebody throws a chicken on stage, and I throw the chicken back out in the audience, and the audience tears it to pieces, and the next day in the paper says, Alice Cooper rips head off chicken, and I become the national geek. Well, urban legend creates a lot of Alice and Ozzy and Marilyn Manson and Michael Jackson. When you get a personality and a look and an image like ours, then people are willing to believe anything.
But as Richard Nixon once said, there's no such thing as bad publicity, Alice.
Well, you can definitely spin anything in your direction. In other words, the thing that did happen on stage with the chicken was I never even thought twice about it. I mean, I would certainly never hurt an animal, to be honest with you. There's a chicken on stage, and I didn't want it to get stomped on stage, so I threw it in the audience where I figured somebody would take it home as a souvenir. We didn't bring it on stage. Somebody threw it from the audience. So I didn't really think the audience would tear it to pieces. Now, here's the kicker to that story. The first 10 rows in that audience were in wheelchairs. So the crippled people, were the ones that were killing the chickens.
You can't do any wrong at that point.
No. And, of course, Frank Zappa called the next day. He was producing my album at the time. And he says, did you kill a chicken on stage? And I said, no. And he says, well, don't tell anyone. They love it.
On December 29th, 1973, Muscle of Love yielded Teenage Lament 74, a number 48 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. Alice, some musicians who've played with you have gone on to do other things on their own. Case in point, Kip Winger, or have come from other well-known bands like Eric Singer of Kiss. How did you select the band you tour with now?
There is a corral of, if you're in the music business in rock and roll, Ozzy and I talk, Steven Tyler and I talk. We all talk, and we always, who you got playing guitar for you this time? Oh, I got Zach Wilde. Oh, I got Damon Johnson. Oh, cool. Yeah, he played with me a while back. These guys are gunslingers, and they can play Alice, they can play Beatles, they can play Rolling Stones, they can play any kind of music you can come up with. I try to pick the guys that not only can play, but can do the stage thing, that know how to work the stage. Because my stage show, I need guys to be showmen. I need for them to be show-offs. When I step back away from the mic, I need for somebody to step up there and take over that spot and really wow the audience. So I'm looking for more of the show guitar players. But, I guarantee you, my guys can play anything that anybody can play out there.
I've always been curious. Here you are, Mr. Hard Rock Alice Cooper. How did you write a song like Only Women?
It was a very odd thing about Alice Cooper is that Alice is this sadistic, arrogant villain, and yet he's got a great sense of humor. It's a very dark sense of humor. When I write for Alice, I write for this character that I know. I'm maybe the only one that knows how to write for him, and I get to play this character. But it's not me. It's a character that I've invented. But he definitely has his own personality that has nothing to do with me. But there is a romantic part of Alice. Out of the 15 or 14 or 15 hit top 40 singles we had, 5 of them were ballads. And 5 of them were like total heartbreaking ballads that were big hits. I Never Cry, You and Me, How You Gonna See Me Now, Only Women Bleed, were all top 10s.
Don't get mad. Get media. MadPod. Rare celebrity interviews. Indie music. MadPod.com.
live coast to coast from Louisville with the king of theater rock, legend Alice Cooper. Alice, I Never Cry from the LP Alice Cooper Gordon Goes to Hell reached number 12 on the 4th of July, 1976. Alice, your father was an ordained preacher, and seeing him as a teenager, you saw his whole life transform through God. What happened?
Well, it's my whole family came from a Christian background. My grandfather was an evangelist. My wife's father is a Baptist pastor. My dad was a pastor, and I was the prodigal son, that came back. But the thing about it is I always thought that art is art. And, would I be able to play Macbeth if I were Christian? Well, I would think yes. I think most people would say, well, why wouldn't you if that's classic Shakespeare? Macbeth is much, much bloodier than anything Alice Cooper's ever done. And so just because it's rock and roll in theater, I don't see why I can't play what I play with a sense of humor. And, I think I would be more offended by Macbeth than I would be by Alice Cooper. So it's an interesting juxtaposition, but it works. And I think kind of like maybe sometimes that's what makes Alice work is the two things rubbing against each other.
Alice, were your mom and dad proud of you?
Oh yeah, they were great. A few of the misconceptions about me is this: I loved high school. I was Ferris Bueller. I ran my high school. I had every bit of my high school locked in. My teachers loved me. I had everybody laughing. I had everybody set up. I was a 4-year letterman in sports. I had a hit record. I was in the best band in town, and I had the fastest car. Okay? So if you've got all that in high school, you win. And I loved high school. When I wrote Schools Out, it was kind of funny because I kind of looked at it and said, I never had a problem with high school.
Don't get mad.
And,
get media.
so to me, it was just very ironic that the biggest song I ever wrote was an angst ballad, an angst anthem about high school that I never had a problem with. So, yeah, I kind of breezed through it pretty easily. And my parents were great. My parents absolutely loved the rock and roll. They couldn't buy into that lifestyle. They couldn't buy into drugs and sleeping around and all that. Of course, no parent really wants to think about that. But the music, they had no problem with. And in the stage show, they didn't have a problem with.
Now, on April 30th, 1977, You and Me, taken from Lace and Whiskey, a number 9 smash single was followed by How You Gonna See Me Now from the album From the Inside, which peaked at number 12, October 21st, 1978. Alice, I discovered you had a couple of friends who were basically giants of pop culture in their own way, Groucho Marx and Salvador Dali. Groucho probably saw you as vaudeville.
He did. He would bring Mae West, Fred Astaire, George Burns, Jack Benny, all the old vaudeville guys. He would bring them to see us play. And they all saw us the same way. They said, oh, it's vaudeville. George Burns, used to come to the show. Hey, Alice, 1923, I worked with the great Walenda, who did the guillotine and, that whole thing. And then Salvador Dali would come to the show, and he would see our show as surrealism. He would see our show and go, oh, yes, the crutches and the guillotine and all this other stuff. So everybody saw our show a little bit differently.
In your early career, you could have easily gone down the path that Jim Morrison and Keith Moon did. Fact or fiction?
Oh, they were my best drinking buddies. When I first came to L.A., the first people I met were the Doors. So, we were trying to match, the Jim Morrison drink for drink. And that's not going to happen. And my other big brothers and big sisters was Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, all these people were sort of like our big brothers and sisters. So when I watched them die one by one, I realized that if I'm going to have a character that is as strong as their character, and maybe even image-wise stronger, I cannot live the two lives. I have to, I cannot be that character all the time. Jim Morrison was trying to be Jim Morrison all the time, 24 hours a day. That's going to kill you. Keith Moon, trying to be Keith Moon all the time. That'll kill you because it's too intense. Alice Cooper tried that. When I got sober, I decided there's two people. There's Alice and there's me. Alice will perform in front of the audience and be the most dastardly character up there. But when the audience is not there, I'm not going to be him. So I do perform. I love playing the character, but I don't ever take him off stage.
Don't get mad. Get media. MadPod. Rare celebrity interviews. Indie music. MadPod.com.
Flush the Fashion gave AM radio Clones, We're All, topping out at number 40, May 17, 1980, followed by the epic LP Trash, yielding 3 singles. The top 7 smash Poison, released September 23, 1989. Its follow-up, House of Fire, issued January 20, 1990, co-written by Joan Jett and Desmond Child, and Only My Heart Talkin', stalling at number 89, April 28, 1990. Alice, in a shocking career, including being a Christian and voting George W. Bush, just like I did, perhaps the most incredible aspect on the lighter side is your love of golfing. Is it true you've had 3 holes in one in your career?
Yeah, actually, and 2 double eagles. But I mean, I play every day. I literally play golf every day. It was sort of when I stopped drinking, I started playing golf. I drank every day, so I figured, well, I'll play golf every day. I didn't realize that I was going to get addicted to that, and then become a pretty decent player. I win 2 or 3 tournaments a year when it comes to these celebrity things, and but I do play every day. So yeah, another juxtaposition. Alice Cooper, the character, hates golf. I love golf. He hates golf.
The LP Hey Stupid yielded the title track July 27, 1991, with Ozzy Osbourne on backing vocals and Slash of Guns N' Roses fame on guitar. Alice, you mentioned last time you were with us that CNN has outstripped anything you could do on stage, but if you were a new band coming through wanting to do what you've done, which is shock people and attract attention to the performance, what would you do?
I think that maybe the only thing that you could do would be to take it exactly the opposite way. I think the next major rock star is going to be somebody that is a pure romantic. The next person that's going to be a major, major, major rock star is going to be a crooner, is going to be somebody that brings back the idea of dating rather than just sleeping with everybody that walks by. Taking it back to the 50s almost in a very, very romantic way, because it can only go so far, whereas everything will be porno if it keeps going. And I don't honestly think anybody wants that.
Alice Cooper on tour, appearing at the Weinberg Theater of the Scranton, Pennsylvania Cultural Center, the MGM Grand Theater at Foxwoods, Marshantucket, Connecticut, in Biloxi, Mississippi at the Beau Rivage Theater, multiple dates at the Orleans, Las Vegas, Nevada, before your UK tour begins, with shows in Manchester, Glasgow, Newcastle, and Sheffield. Tell us about the Theater of Death tour.
You're going to love it. It's if you can kill Alice once in a show, what about 4 times? It's going to be me against the machines, basically. They've concocted 4 ways of killing me, and I think I survive all of them. But we do 28 songs, brand new production, brand new lighting, brand new everything on stage. So it's an 8-hour-a-day rehearsal for the last 2 weeks in order to make sure that this thing runs perfectly. But when you see it, it's going to look like, if you look away from the stage, you're going to miss something.
Now, your most inclusive website is alicecooper.com, and my thanks to Toby Mamus at Alive Entertainment for his most detail-oriented assistance in arranging this segment. Always the showman. Live coast to coast from Louisville, Kentucky, rock and roll legend, Alice Cooper. Alice, thank you so much for being with us. Great speaking with you once again, my friend.
Shadoe, thanks a lot, and I'll see you at the show.
Media, MadPod. Rare celebrity interviews. Indie music. MadPod.com. Your global audio internet connection. Coming up on MadPod.com.